Welcome to the Broncos podcast with Troy Renck. I'm your host, Troy Renck, coming to you from the New Orleans airport to relocate. Had some Wi-Fi issues, some my own issues, name recognition. But welcome. I had a wonderful week here at the Super Bowl. Heading home now to watch the game, but had a chance to catch up. If you have a chance to read me the Denver Post, I caught up with how is Vic Fangio, as the oldest defensive coordinator, turned the youngest defense in the league into the best with the Eagles. Wrote about Samaje Perine, his journey from the Broncos to the Chiefs, and his thoughts on Bo Nix, I think you can appreciate. And had a chance to be there at the NFL honors last night to catch up with Pat Surtain after he became only the second Bronco ever to win Defensive Player of the Year honors, joining Randy Gradishar way back in 1978. So what an honor for Pat Surtain. As you might guess, he was thrilled with it, and it meant more too because his family from New Orleans, his mom and dad are from New Orleans. He told me a lot of his aunties and cousins were there, so he felt the warmth, if you will, of the support group that was around him. And listen, he manifested this. He spoke it into existence. And if you listen to my pod last week with that long interview with Pat, he identified his goal this year to win Defensive Player of the Year. And that is incredible as a cornerback. He's the first one to win it since Stephon Gilmore, 2019. There's only been like 7 corners that win it. And after Gilmore, you get down into the Deion Sanders in 1994. It's just very difficult to do. But had a chance, again, to catch up with a big fan, to talk to Samaje Perine. And then I have a cool piece I think you'd like if you're a Cardinals sports fan on Alan Roach, the baritone voice of the Super Bowl. You know him from his Larry Walker and Tate Bichette calls. He was with the Rockies. He's now known and synonymous with the Colorado Avalanche. He is calling his 17th Super Bowl as the PA announcer. Give a chance to read that. Roach is a good dude. I've known him since the 14, 15 years he worked with the Rockies when I was covering him. So really cool to catch up with him. But a lot of Broncos news. They got a lot of positions to fill. Not much news on that. Mark Thews, good dude, local youth baseball coach, is now leaving to Vegas as their senior vice president of football ops. Such a good dude. He joined the Broncos, believe it or not, in 2009 with Josh McDaniels. He was Josh's receiver. Josh was the quarterback at McKinley High School in Ohio. So best of luck to Mark Thews. He's had opportunities to leave, but never for a promotion like this. He joins John Spytek. The GM there was a former scout with the Broncos. So Broncos have a lot of spots to fill when it comes to passing game coordinator. They're looking at linebackers coach, special teams coordinator, assistant special teams coordinator, and then, of course, some front office spots with David Shaw leaving to the Lions to be their passing game coordinator, Darren Muji leaving to become the assistant GM. So you got a lot going on there, folks. But Broncos are working their way through it. Thought I would have a chance to talk to Sean Payton. He was at NFL Honors on Thursday, but he did not do the media scrum as you walk the red carpet, so no luck there. We'll certainly talk to him at the Combine in a few weeks, but no luck in talking to him last night about some of the staff changes and staff vacancies he's going to have to fill. Again, exciting time here at the Super Bowl. I'm at the airport in New Orleans. Enjoyed my time here, but I have a podcast, a little bit of a Super Bowl potpourri. A chance to be on that red carpet, so I want to hear from Pat Surtain, his reaction to Defensive Player of the Year. Kurt Warner, Hall of Fame quarterback, on his impressions of Bo Nix this season. And I caught up with the actor Wendell Pierce. You may know him from Suits as the lawyer, Robert Zane in Suits, and also in the new show Elspeth. He has ties to Sean Payton, so he had some interesting insight on both the Super Bowl and Sean Payton. So, again, hope you're having a wonderful week. We're going to get to all that sound after the break. Have you been injured in the car? What are you waiting for? Give my friends a Pocket Injury Law a call. Their motto with us, it's personal. That's because it is. I've known Darby Hoggett forever. We traveled the country watching our boys play baseball. We became good friends. Many of his clients have become his good friends. You don't even have to pay Darby a friend. If the case goes as planned, Darby will be the one writing checks to you. So, again, if you've been hurt in a car wreck or injured at work, give Darby a call, 1-833-HOGGATT, 1-833-HOGGET, or visit the website at hoggetlaw.com. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is the ultimate game day companion, especially with the Super Bowl. The largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college hoops, the NHL, and UFC. BetOnline is your number one sports betting source for the new year. Every touchdown, three-pointer, hat trick, BetOnline has you covered. They got all those prop bets too for the Super Bowl. They got the stats, every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Welcome back. I hope you're having a wonderful start to your weekend, folks. It's a foggy Friday here in New Orleans as the Eagles are prepping to play the Chiefs, trying to prevent a Chiefs three-peat. The Chiefs would be the first NFL team in history to three-peat. They've had teams that done it pre-Super Bowl. This would be the first Super Bowl era team to three-peat. The Packers obviously did it in the 60s. It's the reason the winning trophy is named after Vince Lombardi, in case you're wondering. But Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes have a chance to win their third straight Super Bowl. The Eagles have a chance to win their second in the last, 6-7 years. They beat the Patriots in a classic Super Bowl with Nick Foles years ago. I don't think it'll be the quarterback winning the game this time. The Eagles are going to win. Got to play a little keep away. Saquon Barkley has to have a game where he's probably 130, 140 yards, somewhere in there. And the Chiefs have not given up a 100-yard rusher in the playoffs since 2019. So the challenge is real, but I do think it's going to be a good game. But let's talk Broncos. I know a lot of you are watching the Super Bowl, some even just for the ads. But you want to know about the Broncos. You're listening to this podcast, right? Well, last night we saw a little bit of history here in New Orleans at the Sanger Theater. Snoop Dogg emceeing the NFL honors and third award announced. Pat Surtain, NFL Defensive Player of the Year. He joins Randy Gradishar as the only other Bronco to win the award. That was in 1978. Both Von Miller and Champ Bailey were close throughout the years. Von took second as recently in 2016, but no other Bronco had won since Gradishar until Pat Surtain. I have a story up on denverpost.com right now regarding a news story on that he became seen by making receivers invisible. I made the joke, and I love the line, that he turns receivers into Chick-fil-A because they're never open on Sunday. And because of that, he doesn't get a lot of targets. And so for people to vote for Pat Surtain, a couple of things need to happen. You need edge rushers not to have a huge year, one of those 18 to 22 sack seasons, because there's no chance a cornerback's going to beat an edge rusher having that type of season. And you need people to look and dig into the stats a little bit. It's almost like baseball with WAR, understanding the total value of the player, because Surtain doesn't have all those stats. He only has 4 picks. He has 1 pick six, 45 tackles, but he completely puts a do not disturb sign on one side of the field. And the passer rating that quarterbacks had going against him, essentially they'd have been better off throwing the ball into the ground. That's how good he was. And it wasn't against just some jabronis. He's out there guarding the top guys every week, for future Hall of Famers, including Mike Evans, players like that. DeAndre Hopkins. Pick a guy, he guarded him. And this year, because of the emergence of Riley Moss on the opposite side, because of the versatility of Jaquan McMillan, the physicality of the safety position, especially with Brandon Jones, they played Surtain differently. They were more aggressive. They moved him around. They had him tailing the other team's top receiver. And also, they got pressure. 63 sacks. When you get pressure, it makes your cornerbacks better. There's no way around that. So the combination of all that, with Surtain, and you heard him on my last podcast, setting the goal that he wanted this. He wanted this to manifest. He basically kind of spoke it into existence with his goals before the season. All-Pro, Defensive Player of the Year, winning season, not necessarily in that order, but Surtain took it to another level. He is on a Hall of Fame track. So after the game, after the awards were presented, we had a chance to catch up with Pat Surtain here in New Orleans. And this meant a little more to him because his mom and dad are from New Orleans. He told me he still has aunties and cousins here. So feeling that love and that support of having family around, knowing, it's not home. He grew up in Florida, but this is home for mom and dad. It made it even extra special. So Pat Surtain talked about winning Defensive Player of the Year, what that means, and now what does it mean when you're in the Super Bowl city? How much is it feeding that hunger to get the Broncos back to a Super Bowl? Pat Surtain.
But wasn't even close.
It hits me. It hit me for sure. I think before I was a little nervous, obviously, because I didn't know what to expect. But then when they called my name, I sort of let out a deep breath, So honestly, it was a very gratifying feeling. So I'm honestly very thankful and humbled to receive this award.
Well, you surprised because you make receivers invisible, they go away, but you don't necessarily have all the stats. Are you pleasantly surprised that people were able to recognize that nationally?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard for corners to get the flashy stats. We don't get looked at that often, but I know when the players came my way, I capitalized on them, and once the opportunities came, I had to make a play. So it's definitely a good feeling knowing that people did their film study and did their research.
You started this year with a big contract extension.
Yeah.
When you look back to that and ending it this way, I guess just how do you sum up this whole year and what it'll mean to you when you look back on it in a decade or so?
Yeah, man. Before the season even started, something that I manifested. Having a great year, having these expectations, reaching the playoffs, getting all pros, getting Defensive Player of the Year. It's something that I manifested and had goals of. So it's definitely a blessing at the end of the day. But I always tell myself there's more work to do. I'm looking forward towards more success later on in my career for sure. So
you embrace big goals like you just mentioned. Mm-hmm. Being here this week, Super Bowl week, how does it feed the hunger for someday playing in this game?
Yeah, it definitely feeds the hunger. It's somewhere where I want to be through the duration of my career. That's the next big achievement that I want to get to, the Super Bowl, And the main thing is winning in this league, and I want to reach to that point where I'll be able to have a chance to host a Lombardi. So that's something I'll look forward to for sure.
Now you're just a second player in Broncos history to win this award. There's been a lot of great defensive players.
Yeah,
what does that mean to just be the second one to win this award?
It means a lot. It's crazy that I'm only the second one. You talk about Champ Bailey, you talk about Vaughn, you talk about just a whole plethora of guys that that was heavily deserving of the award. So honestly, I'm very thankful to be mentioned as such amongst my peers across the league, and honestly, I'm just very happy for sure. So,
well, again, congratulations to Pat. He's class act on and off the field. The guy's an absolute technician at the position. The first time I saw him, I couldn't believe how big he was. He was bigger than Justin Simmons, the safety. 6'2", 205, runs well, recovery speed, fluidity with the hips, the ability to change direction, and just so smart. And what he's seen and how he's recognizing routes and how he's being attacked. He's a student of the game. He told me that he always felt he was. Obviously, you grow up with your father as Pat Surtain. You were kind of almost born, it feels like, to be an NFL corner. But he worked hard at it, folks. He put in the time. Learned to study through Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons, and just kept applying it and applying it. And when your best players are your hardest workers, that's when a team starts to change its culture. Pat Surtain is at the forefront of that, of leading the Broncos to their first winning season in 7 years and their first playoff berth since 2015. And he's got a little swagger about him now, and he needs that. If they're going to get to the point where they can win the AFC West or host a playoff game, Pat playing with more swagger and confidence, even outwardly, is not a bad thing. And I can just see him growing before our eyes in that way. He's got every reason to puff out his chest as the top defensive player, but also knowing now you got a little bit of a target on you. He is just so sound. I just can't see. That's the thing I love about him. There's just no fluctuation. His floor is very good. His ceiling is Hall of Famer. And so every Sunday, he's going to be really good. And then there's some Sundays you're like, no one on the field is even close to better than him. So congrats to Pat Surtain. Again, one of the advantages of being on the NFL red carpet, credentialed for that. It's been a few years since I've done it. I did it in Arizona one year with, I think it was the Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl, and then also the Broncos Super Bowl in Santa Clara when they beat the Carolina Panthers. You have access to people you just don't typically see. Former legends, Hall of Fame. I mean, it's hard to get them all to stop. It would be great if you could, but that's not always the case. But Kurt Warner is someone I wanted to stop because he does these videos on Twitter at Twitter, his Kurt Warner social media account, breaking down quarterback play. He coached high school football in Arizona. He played the position at a high level, obviously as a Hall of Famer, that known most for the Rams, but certainly had a second act of his career after the Giants with the Cardinals, taking the Cardinals to a Super Bowl. I mean, this guy understands the position. He studies the position. He cares about the position. So when I have a chance to ask him about Bo Nix, I'm curious because the national folks see it differently. Sometimes when we watch it locally, you get lost in the trees, if you will. But Bo Nix had a terrific rookie season. I don't think there's any way around that. He had 29 touchdowns, 12 passes. He's instilled confidence in his teammates, but not only his level of play, but his work ethic, his professionalism. Samaje Perine, and I wrote about Samaje earlier this week in the Denver Post. Again, you can see my stories on Vic Fangio, Alan Roach, and then Samaje Perine. I'll have another big story this weekend from the Super Bowl. But Samaje told me that being with the Broncos when Bo Nix showed up for OTAs, he said if you were in that building when he showed up then, you knew he was going to be successful. He said that he was so prepared. He knew the offense. He was confident. And he said it reminded him of Joe Burrow. He's like, I haven't been around a lot of rookie quarterbacks, but from maturity level, Perine, again, Perine's on the Chiefs now. He got cut by the Broncos. He doesn't have some reason to just gloat about and gaslight the Broncos. He says, from a maturity standpoint, Bo Nix reminded him of Joe Burrow. Big compliment. So what about Kurt Warner, the Hall of Famer? What does he see when he watches Bo Nix? What kind of season did he think Bo Nix had? I had a chance, again, to catch up at the Sanger Theater at the NFL Honors with a quick interview one-on-one with Kurt Warner. His thoughts on Bo Nix.
Your impression of Bo Nix this season?
I thought Bo Nix was great. I thought he got better all year long, game by game, and that's really what you want to see as a rookie, somebody that can continue to improve and show the ability. I mean, going to the playoffs in your rookie year is an incredible feat, and so I'm excited to see where he goes from here. I think he's in a great fit with Sean Payton, but I thought he had a heck of a year.
Last thing, do you see the return of the running back being more important, or is Saquon kind of a unicorn? I think covered Terrell Davis.
I think the run game is always important. You go back 10 years and look at the teams, the top 10 rush teams in the league. 6, 7, 8 of them are always in the playoffs. And I know it might not be a Saquon running for 2,000 yards, but it's the importance of the run game that is so key. And then if you can find that guy, a Saquon, a Derrick Henry, obviously they're special every year. I mean, 1,800 yards, 2,000, it's always important. And I can tell you from a quarterback perspective, give me a decent run game, I will give you a chance every time we step on the football field. So I've always felt that there's importance in the running back. But, maybe this is the year that we see a couple guys do this, what they do and what they mean for their team, and maybe that value comes back to those guys.
Again, part of the reason when I talk to national people about Bo Nix and why they think that arrow is pointed up and he's trending upward is because of the fact he fits so well with Sean Payton. I was talking to a national writer the other day about this, and I was like, man, he talks about Bo Nix and reminds him of Drew Brees. He's not Drew Brees. He's not as accurate as Drew Brees, but there's a lot of qualities similar to Drew Brees. The work ethic, the professionalism. He's more of an athlete than Drew is, but Drew is more accurate, but just the way they fit each other. There's enough creative friction there. There's pushback, which you need with Sean Payton. You got to challenge him, and he's going to let you have it. He asks a lot of the quarterback, but you got to let him have it, and that give and take. I mean, he was obsessed with getting him in the draft. Jay Glazer was telling a story out here in New Orleans, and obviously Jay, I worked with Jay years ago at Broadband Sports. It's literally been 22 years ago. I was covering the NFL for Broadband Sports, a company that was around for like 8 months. It was a great company for those 8 months. But Jabe is good friends with Sean Payton. He does the stuff on Fox. They got to know each other even better, obviously. They knew each other well, but they worked together at Fox the year Sean Payton was out of football in 2022. Payton was obsessed leading up to the draft with the idea the Rams were going to move up and take Bo Nix. Because as it turned out, Bo Nix ended up being the 6th quarterback taken, 12th overall. There was just this feeling and a little bit of uneasiness with the Broncos that the Rams were going to move up. That was not the plan. Jay Glazer told a funny story about talking to Sean McVay and telling Sean Payton they're not moving up, and then he finally called Sean McVay and said, "Can I tell Payton you're not moving up?" He talked with Sean Payton about this. Sean McVay, and said, "Can I tell him that you're not going to take him?" And McVay said, "Yeah, we're not, but wait a couple days." So as they got right before the draft, Jay Glazer finally tells Sean Payton they're not taking him. It's funny too because Sean Payton and Sean McVay are good friends too. They're in Cabo even recently together, but Payton, the point is, he wanted Bo Nix. It was important to him to get Bo Nix. They got him, and that's part of the reason when I talk to national folks about the Broncos, not only the play of Bo Nix, but the fit with Sean Payton. Now, again, if they want him to be even better and they want his career to do this, they've got to get him help at running back and tight end. I think we all know that. But being in New Orleans, you can feel the love for Sean Payton here. When I traveled here to cover the Broncos, what was that, November, fans were embracing his dome coming, as it were, because Dennis Allen, they were skidding, they were going nowhere. They missed him. They missed Sean Payton. Again, I talked Jeff Duncan, who works for the New Orleans paper out here, talking about kind of New Orleans is its own banana republic. They get criticism from a lot of sides, but it's their city. They're very protective of their city and what it means to them. And Sean Payton embodied that as they won, and he kind of took on this identity as us against the world type, and the fans loved him for it. I mean, obviously he didn't have every great season, but they won a Super Bowl, helped unite the city after Hurricane Katrina. I mean, he'll be forever remembered here. And when he won in November, it was that feeling. And even now, the sense is he's missed. They don't have a coach. It looks like they're going to settle on Kellen Moore, the Eagles offensive coordinator. So that's I would be surprised if that does not happen, being out here. But they haven't filled the void since Sean Payton left, with all due respect to Dennis Allen. He's not Sean Payton. He's been fired twice as a head coach. Was not successful in either stop with the Raiders or the Saints. Again, if you're going to make him blossom, you've got to add a running back. You've got to add a tight end. Need more balance. Can't ask him to do everything. But being out here and around the folks in New Orleans, respect for Sean Payton is real, and the belief that they're going to get better and the heroes coming up is real because of the fit. And one person who believes that, who sees that, is Wendell Pierce, the actor. He, huge Saints fan, I found out. I called him out on the red carpet, like, "Hey, come over here, Wendell," because I've been binge watching Suits with my wife, and we do watch Elspeth as well. And he really thinks that Sean Payton is going to turn the Broncos around and get him to a Super Bowl. I had a chance to talk to Wendell Pierce about that. And is he going to be on that new reboot of Suits? So I hope you enjoy it. Here is Wendell Pierce talking Sean Payton and the Super Bowl.
Because I'm a Saints fan.
What do you think of Sean? He's been great for Denver. In 2 years, he turned the whole culture around.
He understands how to create the culture. And now everyone knows. And everyone realizes in 2 years in Denver how impactful a coach can be. And that's what we had to learn here in New Orleans. When Sean Payton came here and changed the culture, it was evident how important that is.
Much more than that.
You've missed it since he left.
Absolutely. And that's the evidence. That's the proof of how important it is. He interacts with players, coaches, and teaches the game. So not only the players, but the fans themselves. I felt like it was 15 wins. That's why it's important. So you should never, ever get accustomed to excellence. That's what you see in Patrick Mahomes.
That's what you are in Suits. You guys cut hard bargains. What was your favorite part of doing that? Are you involved in the reboot, the LA reboot?
couple of us may make some cameos. So, but
Rachel
I hope
won't.
you do it.
She's too busy with hair.
You never know. I hope she will. I'd love to do it. The best thing about it was like going to Toronto and hanging out.
Is that where it was filmed?
It was filmed in Toronto.
I love Toronto.
I love Toronto.
It's fun.
Welcome back to the Broncos pod. Well, I hope that gives you a little bit of Super Bowl potpourri, kind of a smorgasbord of stuff. Again, I had a chance to talk with Vic Fangio as well. I wrote a long column about that. You can read in the Denver Post. Samaje Perine, another player with Broncos ties. That story ran on Tuesday. The Fangio one ran Wednesday. Alan Roach is the voice of the Super Bowl for the 17th time. A guy with Colorado ties. And a great Stevie Wonder anecdote in that story. If you could read that, I'd appreciate it. But Super Bowl's a blast. Broncos at some point will be back here. When? Well, when you watch the Chiefs and you know the challenge is real. If you're asking for my prediction, and I'll leave you with that, I believe the Eagles are going to win. I say that with no conviction. Part of me, I want the Eagles to win because everyone's like, well, history and history and history. I mean, we've kind of seen the history with the Patriots of recently. Obviously, it would be unique if the Chiefs won 3 straight. It's just the Chiefs aren't the same team they used to be. They used to be a fun watch. When they traded Tyreek Hill, they've morphed into a defensive team. They're really the Patriots. They play sound football. Obviously, they get more calls than other teams. I'm not going to say that's why they win, but the stats show you they get more calls, and they capitalize on those calls. And they absolutely own 3rd down and 4th down. So it's going to be difficult for any team to beat them. But they're going to be very difficult to beat. We understand that. I have the Eagles winning a lower scoring game, 23-20. But most people are picking the Chiefs because of their special teams advantage and the Chiefs' ability to win in situational football, 3rd and 4th down in the red zone. But, hey, I'm taking the Eagles. I want to see a different winner. Folks, thank you so much for joining me for this pod. It would not be possible without the great folks at Hoggett Injury Law, Bet Online, and, of course, Nate Lundy and Big A Anilio, the producer from Mile High Sports. They are the best. I could not do it without them. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. I'll be back next week with a pod, including a one-on-one interview with Alex Singleton and his recovery. Broncos country, I do this pod for you. Happiness that begins with me. Go out there and have a great day.